Hello, everyone. I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And in this one, I wanted to answer a question that a viewer asked recently, a really good question about how to have boundaries in friendships. And I thought it was kind of fascinating because I guess what I've been doing is I've been automatically putting in boundaries with friends. So I haven't actually even looked into it consciously, perhaps because I've been doing it for so long. So I had to kind of consciously step back and say, okay, what do I actually do with my friends to let them know that this is my boundary and they can't step beyond it? As I've said to you many times before with regards to boundaries, and if you haven't watched my other videos on boundaries, please do, because one of the main tenets, one of the main things required for creating a boundary is to know where your boundary lies. And unfortunately, as an INFJ or as people without boundaries, we don't actually know what our boundaries are. If you don't know where it is, how are you going to set it, right? And so what happens is that we set boundaries in a very haphazard manner. We set this boundary for this person and another boundary for another person, or this friend has this particular boundary because we've known them longer, but this other person we just met has a particular other boundary, or two friends we met at the same time have two different boundaries because one of them is male and another one's female. Whatever it might be, there's a lot of different things going on in our heads when we're creating boundaries. But what happens is that it creates confusion, especially if they're all of your friends and they're all talking to each other and they realize that you have different boundaries for all of them. They might be a little bit confused. Why do you have a particular boundary for me and not for them? And they might think that you might not be good friends with them, and it might create confusion in general, right? The whole point of this, for me, is to tell you that if you don't know where your boundaries lay, like where is your limit, if you don't know where your limits lie, then you don't know how to set those limits for other people. So the first thing, the first step in every boundary setting situation is to figure out what is your boundary? Where do your limits lie? And of course, that means that you need to know yourself a little bit better. And so, of course, we go back to my basic tenet about life as an INFJ is to know thyself. Now, the first thing, there's so many things you can do in order to know yourself, but if you're just particularly speaking about friendships, what I would do as an individual, as an INFJ, is to go back to my previous friendships or to go back to the previous instances of my friendships, particularly the ones that I had to door slam, and to look at them and analyze them to realize, okay, what went wrong? Why did I feel like my boundaries were being stepped on? Did I not talk to them properly about it? What were they doing over and over again that was irritating me, that caused me to door slam them? What were they keeping on doing that made me feel like they didn't respect me or my boundaries? And so once you start analyzing this, you'll have a clear list of things that you want people to do in order to respect you and your boundaries. And obviously, it'll take a little bit of analysis and a little bit of time, but it's time well spent because it'll really teach you. Because you might imagine, oh, but I think my boundary's here. Well, you might imagine so, but you're probably sending the different signal, a completely different signal to your friends or the people around you. So you really need to figure out, okay, what is my boundary? Where does it lie? How am I all right with it? What things am I all right with? And what things I cannot accept at all and cause me to door slam people, right? And so I'll give you an example from my life. I had to door slam. I don't door slam anymore, as I've told you, but I door slammed someone 3 years ago. That was the last time I think I door slammed anyone. And then I apologized after because I was like, I'm sorry, this is the wrong way to deal with things. It's not an adult fashion or an adult way of talking to people or letting them know that they've stepped over my boundaries. But, I door slammed her and I realized after that I hadn't actually told her at all what my boundaries were. She kept on stepping over them over and over again. And I didn't say anything. What I did was I just smiled, or I got angry on the inside. I festered a lot. Um, but I ignored it over and over again. I was like, oh well, maybe she doesn't know. Maybe this is how people behave. Maybe this is how the world is set up. Maybe I just need to learn how to live in the real world. No, you don't need to learn to live in the real world. Different people have different boundaries. Some people have maybe closer boundaries than you. Maybe some people have more lenient boundaries than you. Maybe other people have more stricter boundaries than you. You have no idea where you stand, and it doesn't matter. It's not a comparison thing, right? And so, as I said, I realized after that I hadn't actually told her what my boundaries were. Because as soon as I told her that, I'm sorry, but I don't like it when you do this. And maybe I haven't never said this to you, and so you probably don't realize this, but I don't like it. So can you stop? And one of the things that I told her about was, which is one of my big pet peeves, is when we set up a time to meet, if it's 7 p.m., be there at 7 p.m. or let me know that you're not going to be there. It's very simple. I'm not saying that you need to be there exactly on time. I'm usually 15 minutes early, which is not what I require other people to do. But I want you to let me know if you're going to be late. It's okay. I have my book to read. I usually have something that I can do. I love people watching, so I'll just sit and people watch. So if you let me know, I'll just sit and chill. But if you don't let me know, then I worry about you. I'm like, all right, what's going on with her? Maybe she's, in an accident. Or I get angry because I'm like, well, you're disrespecting my time, which is a big, big, big no-no for me, as you can imagine. And so, I just kind of told her this straight up, and she was surprised because no one had ever told her this, because she is usually late to everything, but no one, because everyone else is usually late as well, no one actually even had a conversation about that with her. For me, it was a big deal, but I never said anything, and so she didn't realize it was a big deal, and obviously that's why I got angry with her. Then we were able to heal our relationship because of it, and now we're really good friends still because I had that conversation with her. And so I think it was 3 years ago. Well, anyways, I don't remember exactly then. But this is something that I'm talking about, or wanting to explain to you, or wanting you to do as well, is to realize that a lot of times people have no idea what boundaries actually even mean. Actually, in fact, people assume that the way they live their life is the way everyone else lives their life. So my friend assumed that just because she was late all the time, everyone else is late all the time too, which was partly true, but not everyone really, because some people were on time and would be sitting there waiting for her. But no one ever says anything about it because people don't care about time as much as I or INFJs care about time, right? And so no one's going to dare door slam someone because of time issues. I would, because time is so precious to me. And I think that if someone disrespects my time, they disrespect me directly. And so, but again, as I said, no one had that conversation with her, and she assumed that everyone thinks about time the way that she thinks. She wastes it and she doesn't care about it. And so she assumes that everyone else is exactly the same, right? So again, realize where your boundaries are. Where do they lie? What is important to you? What's not important to you? I don't really care where we go out to eat. She would always pick one place and then decide she doesn't want to go to that place, and then we'd go to another place. I was totally fine with that. That did not matter to me at all. But she would show up at a place 15, 20, 30, sometimes an hour late. That mattered to me, right? So again, what is your boundary? For someone else who's a foodie, perhaps, I do care about food, but not that much. For someone else, maybe the fact that she kept on changing the restaurant would be a much bigger deal than the fact that she's late, right? So different people are different. Again, figure it out for yourself. Where is your boundary? What do you care about more than anything else? And what is a deal breaker for you, right? And then again, you need to communicate these things to your friend if they're breaking your boundaries first. Don't just door slam them. Don't just be like, all right, well, they don't get me. Have you ever explained it to them? Because people are clueless. This is what I've realized. People don't know. Really, they don't know unless they tell you, unless you tell them particularly, this is how I feel. They won't know. And then you door slam and they're clueless still. They have no idea what you did it to them. All right? So again, figure it out for yourself. Figure out what is important to you in your friendship or your relationship. What is your boundary? Where does your limit lie? And then set those limits for the other person, right? Let them know. Please don't show up 15 minutes late every single time, or let me know that you're going to be 15 minutes late so that I can plan for that, right? Or something like, don't message me all the time because I don't like getting 1,000 messages when I wake up in the morning because my phone's switched off at night. So if you're going to message me, just message me once a day during the day if possible, or something like that. Obviously, there's different things that you can make up with this. Or never call me, right? Like always text me, don't call me, things like that. Like these are very minor things, obviously, but these are just examples. And little by little, you'll be able to not train necessarily, but inform your friend of your boundaries, and that will form a stronger friendship. Because I noticed for myself, the more I outline my boundaries with my friends, they're very careful about it, which is really nice because that shows me that they really care about me and they want to preserve our friendship. But also, they're really grateful because they had no idea where my boundaries lie. And because INFJs can be very close-lipped, or tight-lipped, not close-lipped, tight-lipped, we don't actually talk a lot about the things that matter to us. People don't know what actually really matters to us. And so we really need to let them know so they can be informed and then they can abide by those rules or laws or boundaries, however you want to call it, right? And as I said, for me, because I'm straight up with my friends, as soon as I make a new friend, I let them know. So then a lot of my friends know what's going on with me, how I am, and my friendships are stronger because of it, and they're long lasting because they won't get upset if I don't message them for a year or two because they know I get busy with my thing. Well, not a year or two, but if I don't message them for a month or two or 6 months even, they won't be upset by it because they know how I am. They're used to it by now. That's where you want to get to, is that you don't, not constantly upsetting your friends or constantly causing them worry about you or fear about losing you, things like that, because both of you are on the same side, both of you are on the same page, and you know each other well enough that you know how everything is happening, how things go. I think this is pretty much what I wanted to say on the subject. If you have questions about this, let me know. Boundary setting is such a diverse and complicated subject, obviously. So there's a lot I could say on it, but this is how I'm going to leave it. If you have questions, let me know and I'll do a further video. Again, thank you for asking the questions. I really appreciate it. And I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.